about the progress in Iraq or lack thereof. Larry?
Thank you very much, Senator. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. As you know, the Senate a year ago basically said that 2006 should be the year of transition in Iraq, and we at the Center for American Progress, under our leader John Podesta, had decided that each quarter we would put out a report card, and this is our report for the third quarter. Unfortunately, the situation gets worse. I'm going to talk about security and stability and the impact on U.S. national security, and my colleague Brian Katulis is going to talk about the other areas, governance and democracy and economic construction. So things are getting worse rather than better. Senator Reid has mentioned some of the statistics. Let me go over a few more of them. First of all, Iraq, basically in terms of the number of Iraqis dying, the number of Americans dying, the number of attacks on civilians, the number of attacks on Americans, the increased use of improvised explosive devices, all of that is getting worse by the day and certainly has gotten far worse over the last quarter. So in terms of security and stability, we give a grade of F. Senator Reid mentioned it's not just one conflict, there are 4 conflicts, and in our view it's worse than a civil war. I noticed that Senator Specter said it is a civil war, that finally we're using that term, but in our view it's worse because you have, as Senator Reid mentioned, 4 conflicts going on simultaneously, and our young men and young women are caught in the middle of all of these conflicts. The Iraqi security forces are not standing up. Remember that was our policy, that as they stand up, we'll stand down. If anything, they're getting worse. The numbers look good, but in terms of their ability to carry out their task to work with our troops in the clear, hold, and build strategy, they're simply not only not doing their job, many of them are not even showing up to do it. In addition to the number of people being killed, people are leaving, people are refugees, are being displaced. So in our view, the place is in utter chaos right now. I noticed Senator Lindsey Graham said it's on the verge of chaos. Our grade is it is in chaos. So not only is the security situation in Iraq deteriorating, but what about the impact on our overall national security? The partly declassified national intelligence estimate shows that Iraq has become a cause célèbre, or recruiting more members of these radical jihadists around the world. It's also hindering our hunt for bin Laden in Afghanistan, and of course, because we have had to increase the number of troops in Iraq, we don't have enough troops in Afghanistan, nor do we have enough funds. Looking around the region, we have the agreement between the Pakistanis, basically, and the terrorist groups. Basically, you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, which gives a haven for Al Qaeda and the Taliban on the Afghanistan border. And then finally, a subject that's important, should be important to all of us: what's it doing to U.S. military readiness? You've seen the statistics in terms of the number of Army divisions not deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, basically are not ready, not only because they don't have enough people, they don't have equipment. The Army and the Marines are experiencing severe equipment shortages. Many of our troops are on their 3rd and 4th tours to Iraq, not even getting a year home. They're supposed to get 2 years home, not even getting 1 year at home before they go back. Many of the troops here at home have a dual mission to deal with the situation in places like North Korea. They're not ready to do that. And as General Pace, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, mentioned, because of the equipment we have, particularly things like unmanned aerial vehicles, smart bombs that are dedicated to Iraq, we simply don't have those weapons available to deal with a possible crisis in Korea, nor do we have the troops. The 3rd Infantry Division, which is not quite ready to go back to Baghdad, also has a collateral mission to deal with the situation in Korea, and their commanders admit that, they're doing the best they can, but they're not quite ready to do it. So in terms of security there and our overall security, we give a grade of F. Now let me turn this over to my colleague, Brian Katulis. Brian is one of the real leaders at the center. He has experience in Iraq. He's worked for the National Democratic Institute and for Freedom House. He brings a tremendous background to this area. He speaks Arabic fluently, and he'll talk about the other areas. And Brian, along with our young man Peter Jewell, are responsible for the majority of this report. So, Brian.
Thank you, Larry. I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about the two other sections of the report, democracy and governance and economic reconstruction. And thank you, Senator Reid, for your leadership on this very important national security issue. On Iraq's governance and democracy, we give the Bush administration a grade of D-, almost failing. And you'll hear a lot of things like you did this morning and yesterday from the White House and from folks in Baghdad talking about the elections, 2 elections and a referendum last year. But the simple fact of the matter, in 2006, we've seen a dangerous backsliding in democracy and the emergence of no real sense of governance from the Iraqi government over the last 9.5 months. And this is a dangerous situation. We give a D- in part because the process continues. Next month there will be a national reconciliation conference, an attempt to bridge these divides. But a lot of what the Bush administration has touted as progress in Iraq has actually led to an ethnocracy and increased sectarian divisions. A lot of the politics in Iraq are along sectarian and ethnic lines, even though there are real issues to be discussed. But more importantly, there has been a serious erosion in the last 3 years in terms of freedoms, press freedoms, religious freedoms, and the rights of women. And our report highlights a lot of these things. But in particular, there's been a dangerous erosion of religious liberties. Over the last 3 years, you've seen tens of thousands of Christians leave the country. Just last month, earlier this month, a priest in Mosul who was beheaded. And just last week, Christian leaders in Iraq saying that they want their own enclave now. They want protection from the dominant parties there that aren't respecting their religious liberties. So we give a D- because the process continues. There's some hope. The national reconciliation process hopefully will work, but they've not settled it in the 9.5 months of this year to address it. On economic reconstruction, we also give it D-, on the verge of failing. One really good piece of news that's come out in the 3rd quarter of this year was an international compact on Iraq, an agreement between the United Nations and the Iraqi government to set up some sort of benchmarks and framework for continued assistance. And that's a hopeful sign, but more work needs to be done there. We give a D-, though, because of all of the resources that we've spent in the United States, nearly $30 billion on reconstruction assistance. And when you look at the metrics, when you look at more than 5 million Iraqis still living below the poverty line, electricity in Baghdad is lower. It's actually at its lowest point earlier this month in the last 3.5 years. The electricity actually went out in a press conference in the green zone this morning. And that's very dangerous. Oil production is still at or below pre-war levels. So in sum, we hope that our report is a wake-up call to individuals, that we don't need to change the language and the window dressing and how we talk about this issue, and not even change the tactics. We need a wholesale strategic change. And we hope that this 3rd quarter report card can help provide you with the facts so that we can make the course adjustment necessary to get the policy right. Thank you.